USAA wanted to pay me $18.14 for the diminished value of my vehicle. We ended up getting a check for $2,080, which was an acceptable amount for the diminished value as well of the costs for pursuing that in court. How's it going, everybody? My name's Eric, and in this video, we're gonna talk about diminished value. This is my personal experience dealing with USAA on a diminished value claim, which I had no idea that was even a thing earlier on in this year. This isn't a normal video for my channel, and I apologize for that, but because I've been publishing the car accident story from January until November, I've had a ton of messages on Instagram asking about my experience, and I figured having it in one place as an all-encompassing data resource, testimony of experience, would be helpful to a lot of people to know what I went through. So before we get into it, if you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up. If you have any questions about diminished value after watching the entire video, please throw them in the comments section. If you have your own crazy insurance story you'd like to share, I'd love to read them in the comments section. That would be great. And I hope you enjoy this video. As a disclaimer, I am not a lawyer. I'm just a random dude in a lazy boy talking on the internet about his experience with diminished value. Laws and processes vary across the states, and it took a lot of my own time and research to get this done. We were not injured in our car accident, thankfully, and our car previously had zero accident history. In this video, we're gonna go over what is diminished value, and then I'm gonna hit rapid fire tips, and then we'll actually get into my accident and the diminished value process that I had to go through. So for the definition of diminished value, we're gonna read it off of bankrate.com. I feel like it's a pretty good definition. What is diminished value? After an accident, your car's market value will decrease even if it goes through all of the necessary procedures to restore it back to its prior condition. Diminished value is a difference in your car's market value before and after an accident. Even if you try to resell your vehicle, Carfax and similar reports will show that it has been involved in an accident, which will reduce its market value. A diminished value claim can help recover the costs to bring your vehicle back to its pre-accident market price. To simplify it, let's say I have a $10,000 car that doesn't have any accident history. Bam, it gets in an accident, has $5,500 worth of repairs done to it. Now I go to try to sell the car, and I can't sell the car for $10,000 anymore. I could only sell it for $8,000, or the dealership will only give me $8,000, or a private buyer will only pay $8,000. The market kind of dictates that. You're not really gonna think or get hit with this market loss until you go to trade in your vehicle years down the road, or you try to sell it yourself years down the road. But because somebody else was at fault in a car accident, their insurance is liable to pay you for the diminished value of your property. A lot of people don't think about it because it's actually a future loss when you go to try to sell the car and you're dealing with rentals and the crying baby and getting your car fixed and going to your job, answering emails. So you don't really think about all that, and they're definitely not going to bring the subject up to you. And you're gonna have to do your own due diligence and fight the fight to get that diminished value. So now that you know what diminished value is, I'm gonna hit you with rapid fire tips that helped me with my claim, or things that I wish I would have done differently during the entire claim process. Tip number one is once you have the insurance company on the phone, more than likely it's the other person's insurance that you're dealing with. Once you have them on the phone, you're going to want to get a statement of liability, and you're gonna want this emailed to you. They're probably just going to tell you verbally, yeah, we're liable for it. You're gonna want a statement of liability in writing that you might need in the future to prove damages and liability in court. Tip number two is you're gonna wanna ask the insurance how they handle diminished value. When I was scheduling repairs and letting them know what shop I was going to, and when I was getting my car rental, I asked the adjuster or whoever I was talking to how they handled diminished value. And for USAA, they said it was a form that I had to fill out after the car was repaired because they use the dollar amount of repairs done to the car in the calculation. But this at least lets you know if the insurance company acknowledges that diminished value is a thing, or lets you know that you're gonna have to fight it even harder. I've heard that other insurance companies don't acknowledge it. So good on USAA for actually acknowledging it, but bad on USAA for only trying to give me $18.14. And tip number 3, you're gonna wanna get a free diminished value estimate, and you're gonna wanna get one with a warranty. I did this one right. I went with Tiger DV. There is a link in the description. Once the repairs were completed on my vehicle, I filled out a form, I think, with the make, model, trim, mileage, year, and the repair dollar amount of my vehicle, which was I think around $5,500, to get a free estimate emailed to me. And then I think Simon even called me and was like, hey, this is what we calculated with real-time offers from dealers of your pre and post valuation of your car based on the repairs. And he also offered a guarantee. If I wasn't able to get more than what they offered, I would have gotten a full refund on his appraisal anyway. So there literally was like nothing to lose. As you will hear later on in this video, my experience with Simon was great. I highly recommend at least using him for the free estimator. Link to it's in the description. Make sure to check it out. Tip number 4 is to document all of your expenses along the way, and even your time expenses if that's something that you're going to end up pursuing in court. I don't work a traditional 9-to-5 job, so I didn't miss any W-2 hours. So I can't really calculate my hourly rate easily, or at least I don't know how. I didn't reach out to anybody to calculate loss of time. I ended up not claiming any loss of time during the whole process, but I probably could have. But I did keep record of expenses, which were the actual diminished value appraisal, the cost of the appraisal, and then the cost of going to court. So things that could be added to your claim that you're paying out of pocket, such as the diminished value report, court costs, stamps, service costs, anything that has to do with discovery related to the diminished value, keeping good records and then bringing those towards the court as damages should help you in your case. Number 4 is to expect pushback from the insurance company. It's not going to be easy. It more than likely is going to be an uphill battle. They might not even acknowledge that it exists. They don't want people to know diminished value exists. They don't want people going online talking about their experience in videos. They want to pretend like it doesn't exist, and they don't want to have to pay it out. Expect pushback verbally if you're talking to them on the phone, and expect pushback via emails, which gets me into the 5th tip, which is to start communicating via email. After my car was repaired, I requested from the insurance company to only communicate with me via email. So I had record of what they said, what I said, clear, concise answers. I wasn't getting any emotional responses on the phone. I wasn't having to do awkward arguments with somebody in customer service. Everything was well thought out. I could clearly ask questions and get their responses. When you're getting things documented in email, it helps you to build a case, which is essentially what you're doing if you have to go to court. I was fortunate enough to actually get this one right, thanks to people on Instagram reaching out to me. Stephen G, thank you, and others that told me to just start getting things documented in email, which was an excellent tip. So tip number 6 is like a retrospective of the whole accident, and that would be to get the driver's information, whoever was driving the car that was at fault, get a picture of their license, get a picture of their license plate, pictures of the damages, ask where they live, because the address that was on the driver's license was actually not the address where the guy lived. We only had a very grainy picture of his insurance card, which did have his address on it. Luckily, it could have very well been a bad picture. And then of course, their insurance company is not gonna wanna give me his address. I would have had to figure out another way to figure out where the guy lives in order to serve him the papers, which you'll hear about later on in this video. So if for some reason you see this before you got in the accident, make sure you get his or her place of residence and photographs of everything that you can. So tip number 7, I'd say don't sign anything without understanding the implications. For instance, hypothetically, if I was injured in this, I wouldn't sign a diminished value settlement saying that I'm gonna drop all injury charges, because if I was injured, that's a whole different claim than diminished value. It doesn't really need to be in that settlement clause. Make sure you read or get somebody that can explain it to you that you trust to read, and just know the implications of the things that you're signing, because they're gonna want what's in the best interest of the insurance company, not necessarily what's in the best interest of you. And then tip number 8 would be to plan to go the entire distance. Trust the system, trust the process. expect to do all of the steps, and if you can get it on a lower step, then basically you won without having to do more work. But expect to go the distance, which is all the way to small claims court. The entire process in a nutshell for me went from March until November for the diminished value claim, even though the car was hit in January. The process of what I had to go through was filling out the diminished value form, them offering us a diminished value settlement, which was $18.14. Then we tried to negotiate. I said I was gonna go with a third-party appraisal because I don't think that my car was valued at $18.14 less. Then we tried to negotiate with the insurance, with the appraisal. They wouldn't really budge on the appraisal. I filed a demand email with the insurance, didn't get a response, didn't get a fair settlement. Then we sent a complaint to the Department of Insurance in Texas, because that's where I'm at, in Texas. And then the Department of Insurance came back and said, we don't handle diminished value claims. You're gonna have to take that up with small claims court. Then we had to file against the insured, the person that was at fault in the accident, the person that was driving the car that we hit. We had to file a small claims lawsuit against him, sadly. And then insurance has to represent him because that's what insurance is for. Once you get him served papers, the insurance actually starts to take you seriously, and then you talk settlements with the representative or the lawyer, whoever. This entire time, I let the insurance know what I was doing, what I was planned on doing, so nothing was a surprise to them. Small claims court in Texas, I believe, is $20,000, so know your state's small claims court limits, because the diminished value of your vehicle may or may not fall within those limits. Now that we've gone over the tips, let's get into story time. Y'all are in for the long haul from January until November, accident until final payout. Are you okay? Okay, yeah, the airbags didn't go off, which is good.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
See you guys.
I figured you didn't. We're okay. That's like the main thing. We're just a little shaken up.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So on January 15th, we were driving down the road. There was a car at a stop sign. That car pulled out. I hit my brakes as fast as I could and still hit the car going like, I don't know, 12, 15 miles an hour. Enough to where the airbags didn't go off. Water like flung into the dash.
Did he not have a stop sign? He did, right?
He did, but I stopped. The airbag. I just took my seatbelt off because I'm about to get out.
Are you okay?
Shook us up. Definitely put a nice ding into his car. I have some pictures of it to add a little bit more context. I actually recorded it as soon as it happened as kind of proof. I don't know. It's kind of a reaction now when stuff happens to just start taking pictures, recording video. Luckily, we were okay. He was okay. Took a picture of his driver's license, his insurance card. We got a picture forwarded to us of his insurance card, and we exchanged phone numbers. We called his insurance and started the claim process. This was the first time I've had to get a car repaired from an accident. They were gonna take care of everything because it was his fault. They've already told me it was his fault. He already told me it was his fault, which doesn't really matter technically because there's like a legal fault, but eventually the insurance said it was, their fault. They're gonna cover everything. So we got the ball rolling. The car was still drivable. It had cosmetic damage. Nothing was dragging, nothing was leaking, so they didn't tell me not to drive it. We drove the car for the next couple of days because we had to go to get estimates and we didn't have a rental yet. We went to their estimator, who they told us we had to do, which I wasn't even gonna use their body shop, so I don't know why I had to go to their estimator. And their estimator said there was $1.9 thousand worth of damage and it would take, I don't know, like 2-3 days to repair, something like that. This estimator is in contract or something with USAA to where that's one of their preferred locations. I went to a non-associated location to go get an estimate. The estimate was $2.3 thousand. So it's already over $1,000 in repairs than what they estimated. And he said that, they're just gonna use non-OEM parts. And for bumpers and things that have to fit together with really close tolerances, you want to use OEM parts. Their shop is experienced in fighting with the insurance over OEM parts, so I opted to go with their shop. It sounded like they knew what they were doing. They're in a nice part of town. They had a lot of 5-star reviews on Google. We figured it would be a good body shop to go with. We get a rental car from Enterprise and we drop the car off at the body shop. One of the times I was on the phone with a representative from USAA, I mentioned diminished value. They said that they have a form that we have to fill out, but we have to wait till our repairs are completed to fill out the form because they use the amount that was damaged in the way that they calculate the diminished value of the car. In February this year, there was a crazy storm in Texas where it basically knocked out civilization for like a week or week and a half here. The car was in the shop at that time. So I was driving the rental during the winter storm, and I don't think the car was getting worked on during the winter storm. So it took about 4 weeks for everything, I think, to get done, because we got the car back on February 24th, and that was after everything had thawed. The crazy winter storm was over, and the final amount of damage assessed on the car was about $5,500. My car is a 2015 Toyota Prius. There was 97 or 98,000 miles on it. It is the trim level 4 with the sunroof package, so it's a little more on the pricey end of Priuses. And the car that pulled out in front of us, I believe, was a Jeep, an older Jeep Grand Cherokee. My car had never been in an accident prior to. So after we got the car back, I think we ended up not getting the DV form emailed to us, even though the rep said they were going to email it to us, or maybe they typed in the email wrong or something, but we didn't have the form. Let a week or so go by, and then we called the USAA and got them to email us the form. We filled it out and submitted it to USAA in March. 5 days after we submit the form, the adjuster or the appraiser or somebody calls my wife. She doesn't deal with any of this, so she tells them to call me. She might have been driving, it might have been on Bluetooth or something, and she doesn't deal with any of it. She didn't know anything about the cars, so she gave them my number and they called me. It was their DV claims guy. I didn't remember the guy's title, so I had to look it up in the email. He is an auto claims auditor. And he had me on the phone. He said, we did your diminished value. It was $18.14. I don't even remember the conversation, because as soon as he said $18.14, I cut him off and I was like, you're gonna have to get me that in writing. You can email that to us. Everything from now on is going to be communicated by email. I don't think that is a fair amount, and I'm gonna be getting a third-party appraisal. Either that night or maybe the next day, they emailed us a copy of their offer, of their diminished value appraisal, their diminished value adjustment, whatever it was. I responded to the email saying that we're gonna be getting a third-party evaluation. The email came from this company called Alacrity, and I guess that's who they use as a auto claims auditor to make it seem that impartial third party. But that email said that their calculation was based on the value of the vehicle prior to the loss, the severity of the damage, the condition, and the mileage of the vehicle had 96,730, and also where the diminished value zeroes out at 100,000 miles. So my car had 96,730 miles. If it had 100,000, I wouldn't have got $18.14. I would have got $0 because their formula apparently zeroes out. And then it said if you have documentation that supports the damage to your vehicle was more, or that the value of your vehicle was higher, submit those documents to us. Nothing about a second opinion on their valuation. They put the burden of proof on me to either make the damages be higher or the value of my car to be higher, when I could just say maybe the diminished value is actually just more. My car's not worth any more. The damage isn't more, but the resale is actually less. How can I prove that? So I started to Google and I found Tiger DV's website somehow, and I punched in my information for my car. It came back saying that it was $1,600 in diminished value. It was a free estimate, didn't have to pay anything for it, which is good because that gave me something to compare to their $18.14. It let me know that I wasn't crazy for thinking my $18.14 was a total unfair drop in the value of my vehicle due to this accident. I think after I submitted that, Simon called me and said, yeah, this is what insurance companies do. It sounds like they use this formula called 17C, which is proven to be inaccurate because a car is not going to zero out at 100,000 miles. If it has 101,000 miles, it's still going to be worth a little bit less once it's been in an accident. So he said it was proven in court that the formula is bunk, but insurance companies like to use it because it's in their favor. I ended up purchasing the diminished value report. It was $349, which we do recoup because it is the insurance's fault that I didn't get a fair appraisal to begin with. And as you'll see that they ended up paying for that. Another reason that I wanted to go with Simon's evaluation was because he had a guarantee if we didn't get at least the $349 back from the insurance, then he would just refund it. So it was like, what do we have to lose, right? We're gonna go through this process. We'll get our money back or we'll just get a refund. So after I got that appraisal, it gave me something to compare it to and to negotiate with the insurance for my diminished value claim. They got a lot of negotiating up to do from $18.14 to where my actual appraisal from real-time offers from dealers said that my car was worth $1,600 less now that it's been in an accident. I think they called me at some point and I didn't pick up the phone and I got a voicemail, and then I called them back and left a voicemail saying I prefer communication via email because we want a record of what they're saying to present to the court if needed. So I sent them an email letting them know that I got their message. I don't agree with their appraisal. I didn't think that their settlement was fair, and I'm seeking to be made whole. I would like to settle it outside of small claims court, but I'm gonna need the same cooperation from USAA. I didn't hear anything back for over 2 weeks. Now, April 9th, I email USAA back to follow up. I haven't heard anything, so I emailed them back asking for the personal email or the personal contact to the claims adjuster that I was talking to previously. I think I had spoken to her on the phone. I didn't have her email yet, and they just kept giving me some generic letters and numbers from USAA. So I didn't have this person's email yet, so I think it might have got lost in the system. Followed up saying I didn't hear anything back. Could I please have this person's email because I haven't heard anything back. So I emailed them on the 9th. After I followed up, the adjuster said something along the lines of our appraisal team reviews and determines the diminution in value. The appraiser reviewed the additional documents that I submitted, which was my third-party Tiger DV report, did not support a change in the diminished value of my vehicle. And as of now, the claim has been closed. Thank you. So I followed up asking why the claim was denied. Under what basis? And they really didn't give me a good answer. Emails went back and forth between me and USAA, and then USAA told me to reach out to Alacrity. And I'm not sure if they're within the same company or if they're completely separate companies, but I thought they were the same company. So when I emailed one, I assumed that they all got the information, but I don't think they did. USAA would tell me to talk to Alacrity. They escalated it to managers. The managers gave me excuses. We got nowhere. Alacrity told me that they calculate based off of the directives from USAA. However, they couldn't tell me what the directives were. They said it was proprietary protected work documents. They couldn't tell me anything about the ethics of their appraisal practices. They couldn't tell me anything about their appraisal methodology that they use for calculating their diminished value. So they are supposed to be the diminished value appraisers, and they're using directives from USAA. Of course, it's going to be in the best interests of USAA. Just totally smells of BS. If you don't ask questions and stand your ground, they're going to run you in circles. So I let them know that I was going to file a complaint with Department of Insurance, which was the next step. I went on to the Texas Department of Insurance's website, filled out their forms, told them what happened, that I wasn't really made whole. They made an unauthorized deposit of $18.14 in my bank account to close the claim, and I got a third-party appraisal. This is what it said. I explained the whole thing, and then this is what the Department of Insurance got back to me saying. We have completed our review of your complaint and closed a copy of the company's response. Unfortunately, we're not able to help you with this matter. USAA provided a history of handling your claim. If you have additional evidence to support the value of your vehicle, consider providing it to USAA to evaluate if your dispute remains unresolved. Civil court may be the appropriate venue to pursue this matter. TDI cannot decide diminished value disputes. Diminished value claims require the insurance company to decide whether a car lost value because of an accident. If so, how much? The dispute about a company's decision regarding diminished value is a civil matter. And then they included some low-cost legal resources about filing civil suits. So basically they said, we can't really do anything here, but it's probably a civil matter. Here's some civil resources. So yeah, civil. That means civil is like civil lawsuits, small claims court. So basically the insurance did the bare minimum legally what they could do. And in order for me to dispute anything, I have to go into a civil court setting to finally get some justice. May is when the Texas Department of Insurance got back to me. And as soon as I knew that, I responded back to USAA. I CC'd the driver, the person that was driving the car. It's called the insured. The person that was driving the car, I don't want to really say the guy's name because he didn't have anything to do with the USAA being so difficult about this. The guy was a really nice kid. We'll call him Bob. I CC'd Bob because I had his email, and I emailed USAA saying, directing basically the entire email to Bob saying, I'm sorry, Bob, this is what I've been through with your insurance company. This is what's happened. They're only calculating diminished value of $18.14. I basically updated Bob on the entire situation, let him know that we got our car fixed. We're just seeking a fair resolution. I explained about diminished value. This email's in the description as well. I asked USAA how they calculate diminished value. They couldn't give me a straight answer. I asked their evaluator. He couldn't give me a straight answer. Filed a complaint with TDI. They responded they don't handle it. We have to do it with the court. Explaining everything of the escalation. And now to get a fair resolution with your insurance company, I'm going to have to file in court against you. I apologize. Your insurance company is making me do this. Don't hate me. Definitely be mad at your insurance company. Don't be mad at me when you get the papers for the lawsuit. I emailed that to USAA and I CC'd Bob, or I emailed it to Bob and I CC'd USAA, one of the two. I was explaining the cost, like it was $1,600 in the appraisal. The cost of the appraisal was $349. What you guys paid me was $18.14. I'm still owed $1,930.86 in damages. Please send me a check or we can arrange another form of payment. I'm sorry, but your insurance is kind of making me do this. Didn't hear anything back from him. Didn't hear anything back from his insurance. I think I gave him 30 days. I sent that on May 25th, and then I followed up on July 5th, wishing everyone a great Independence Day. And I'm just following up, letting you know that I filed suit with the court. It was an extra $149.14, tacking onto the damages. Bob, when you get served your paperwork, don't be alarmed. Just forward that stuff to USAA. It's kind of their fault that this is happening anyways. And then I sent him a picture of the receipt that I filed with the court. The experience filing for small claims court was actually really easy. In Dallas, all I had to do was go to court, take a number, fill out a piece of paper, kind of explaining what was going on. It was a petition for a small claims case. I've already tried to collect what was due by negotiating with the insurancing, sending them a demand letter, waiting over 30 days. In my complaint, I just said defendant was 100% at fault in an automobile collision. Our vehicle is now worth less because of inherent diminished value. I was given $18.14 as compensation for diminished value of my vehicle, and I disputed this amount and went to a third-party appraisal to learn the actual diminished value. The cost of the third-party appraisal was $349. The diminished value of my vehicle was $1,600. Added them together, subtracted $18.14. I seek to receive $1,930.86, blah, 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 blah. And that costs $149.14 to file. But the way small claims court works is if you actually show up in court and you win, the other people have to pay you for all that stuff anyways, so they were gonna reimburse me for that if we ended up showing up to court. I actually filed for the court documents middle of June, I think 30 days after I had sent the demand, but I actually didn't follow up with USAA or with Bob until July 5th. For some reason, I think I didn't remember to email them, letting them know, hey, this is what I'm doing. So I emailed them, letting them know, hey, this is what I'm doing. And then after that, nothing, no correspondences, nothing kind of makes me wonder, did I actually get the guy's address right that I had to fill out for them to be served? I don't know. The rest of July, nothing happens. The beginning of August, nothing happens. And then I get a certified letter in the mail from a lawyer in San Antonio. Well, I'm in Dallas, so the lawyer being in San Antonio, that's kind of weird. So the lawyer sent some stuff saying that the defendant denies each and every allegation, and then that they pray that the judgment of the plaintiff take nothing, and then that the defendant recovers all costs and everything. Basically, pleading nothing, pleading innocent, and that I should get nothing, basically is what she sent to the court and then sent me a copy of it to my address. There was a letter saying, hi, my name is lawyer in San Antonio. I have been retained to represent Bob in the lawsuit you filed. I'll be entering any appearance on behalf of my client. In the meantime, please forward all communications to, and then gave me information. And then as for now, he's represented. We request that all communications of this matter be with us instead of him, because I did send him 2 emails previously. Please call me to discuss the case. I actually don't even remember reading that. I did not call her to discuss the case. I emailed her because, again, we want everything in writing to present our case to the court. We want to be able to print it out. We want to have documentation of it. So I emailed the lawyer letting him know that I received 3 of their letters, because I think it was like 2 of the same copies and then maybe 3 of the same copies of stuff. And I basically copy pasted the thing that I sent to the insurance, but I added now the cost of the filing fee. So I said, I received your 3 letters. Full amount of damages is $2,080. USAA failed to conduct a fair diminished value appraisal. Thus, I will be adding the cost of the appraisal to my damages. It's $349 plus $1,600 plus $149.14 minus the $1,814 that USAA already paid me. So the total is $2,080. They've already accepted 100% liability and they failed to pay a fair diminished value. Basically just a demand letter going to the lawyer now instead of USAA. So I sent her that. Then the lawyer emailed me back asking for the appraisal, because apparently they didn't get any information of the case from USAA. So I forwarded them the appraisal. And then in August, I get an email from the lawyer saying, I've been authorized to offer $1,350 in order to settle this matter. Please advise if you will accept. And I let him know, thank you for getting back to us. Unfortunately, we can't accept that. We are open to a full amount, fair resolution of the damages outlined, and then I just copy pasted the same thing. Full amount, $2,080. She already saw all that. Wasn't gonna budge on it. At this point, it's already the principle of the matter. I'm gonna go full, show up in court to a jury of my peers to get this money back. I'm ready to go to the end. I'll let them know that. It's just part of the game that they have to play. They have to send you an offer that's lower than what you want, because that's probably what the insurance wants them to try to do. Then they have to go back to the insurance and say, nope, he won't budge. And then eventually, yeah, unless they want to show up in court, drive from San Antonio to Dallas, spend more money on lawyer travel time, showing up in court, hours an hour, billable hours, they're just going to pay the full amount. It's about $700 more. Or they could pay a lawyer to come up to Dallas and represent. It's not going to be worth it for them to have a lawyer to show up in Dallas. In this case, because it's only $2,000, maybe in your case, their lawyer would actually show up and you would actually have to present your case in court. I was ready for it. Your mileage may vary. She responded back saying, I don't have a copy of the invoice from your appraisal. Please forward that to us. And then I forwarded him a copy of the receipt from Tiger DV, which was $349. I think I paid via PayPal, so I had a PayPal receipt. And then I sent him a picture of the court costs, which was the $149.14. I didn't hear anything back for the rest of August. So I got an email late September from the lawyer saying, I have authority to extend in exchange for a confidential, full and complete release of all claims against Bob and the authority to settle this case in the amount of $2,080, which was the full amount. Please let me know if this is agreeable. The amount of money sounded good, but I don't like that word confidential. I don't want to keep it confidential. I want to be able to talk about it at Thanksgiving with my family. I want to be able to talk about it with people that have been following this story on Instagram every time I've updated. I want to be able to talk about it with you on YouTube to hopefully help somebody else navigate this crazy diminished value world. So I am not going to agree to that term of confidentiality. So I emailed the lawyer back saying that amount will make us whole for the damages done to our property. I will sign a release of liability, but I will not sign anything that would keep me from discussing this outcome at a Thanksgiving dinner. The confidentiality would be unnecessary. Please send over a release agreement that we can review. Lawyer sends a settlement agreement. I read through it. There's a couple parts I really don't like because they're trying to bundle up all of these extra things in there, such as full release of bodily damages or bodily harm or any future damages or whatever. Like, they're basically making it all encompassing that anything that has to do with the accident is going to be settled with this agreement. So if I did have medical problems from it, then that amount would be settling it. So it really wouldn't be fair in that case. However, I'm just going after diminished value. We're not injured, so whatever, I'll sign the injury part. I might have negotiated a little bit more if need be. I ended up printing out the papers, initialing it, signing it, and then a couple days later, maybe the week later, the sweet check from USAA for $2,080. It arrived in our mailbox. So the last thing I had to go file was called a plaintiff motion for non-suit, and that was basically to drop the suit, drop the charges. We settled outside of court. It's basically just dropping the charges, dropping the suit. It was in the agreement, so I have to just basically stops us from having to go to court, and we got our full amount. It didn't cost anything to file that. It was free. I just had to show up at the court and then file a piece of paper to drop the charges. They kind of walked me through it. I feel like justice was served. It was a long, drawn out process from initial accident in January to initial payment in November. It probably could have been expedited if I would have been on top of emails a little bit better. I definitely took my time, or if I would have just filed suit faster than just going through the Department of Insurance, but escalate it the way you can. The main thing is you have the outlet of court. That's the main tool. Whenever there's a dispute amongst an insurance company or you owe me money or whatever, the small claims court system's there for it. And I've never used it before. This is my first time using it. Now that I've gone through this, navigated it once, it's a lot easier if I ever have to settle a dispute a second or third time. So that's pretty much the story. If you have any questions, put them in the comments section. If you have your own crazy insurance story you'd like to share, I'd love to read them in the comments section. That would be great. It was a happy ending for us. And I bet USAA now wishes they would have just paid a diminished value claim right when I sent them the email, because yeah, it's a bad look. And just more people like me are gonna make videos like this. So big thanks to everyone on Instagram that reached out saying you need to go for diminished value. I had never even heard of it. So thank you, Stephen G, and others who sent direct messages. And I hope that if you're going through something like this, that even if the insurance says no, it should be this way, there are systems in place to be made whole, even when the insurance is uncooperative. So hopefully this video was helpful. If you haven't already, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your diminished value claim. I do really hope that it's a happy ending for you guys too. Bye.